Most lads who want to build muscle are doing it completely the wrong way. They're either resting too long, they're either going to the gym too infrequently, or they're going to the gym too much and not allowing themselves enough time to recover. They're also using terrible form, poor accuracy, and they're not training with any purpose and any intent at all. And then they come to me and they wonder why they haven't built any muscle and their physique hasn't changed for years and years. So in this video today, I'm going to talk to you about the training principles that I use that's allowed me to build a lot of muscle over the previous years, and also what I use with my clients to help them as well. But not only that, I'm training push today, and I'm going to take you into the gym with me so you can see what true failure is, true accuracy is, and get an insight into how to train effectively and how to actually build muscle. Building muscle is pretty simple, but the details to it and the patience to it takes time. So after this video, I'm going to hope that you stop going through the motions and you actually learn how to train with intent, train with accuracy, and actually allow yourself to build muscle over the long run. So anyway, it's time for meal one, pre-workout supplements, and I'll see you in the gym. That's how you get yourself pumped for the gym. Simple way to get yourself in the right frame of mind to actually have a good workout is good music, pre-workout, mega pump from Conte, supplements, a good pre-workout meal. You're literally in the perfect frame there to go and actually have a good intensity session. I see a lot of people they don't even have, say, anything before they go to the gym. No pre-workout, no meal. They're listening to some girly little tunes, not getting themselves in the right frame of mind. Get yourself pumped up and get yourself to the gym. That's how you're going to have a good session. So we're here at Ultraflex. We're going to run a push session today, predominantly chest and shoulder based. It's my new split, so we're doing push pull legs, push pull instead of push pull legs, chest and back, and then arms and delts. Going into an off season now after stage, 11 weeks post stage, so it's all about growth now. I've got my wedding next year. I was planning to do obviously the British Masters and PCA Universe and the PCA Championships towards the back end of this year, but now it's just a long off season until my wedding, which is in September 2027. So I've literally got like 15-14 months to just build and just get bigger, because that's what the judges' feedback was. So just looking to build as much muscle as possible around everywhere really. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing, running a push session today. So we're starting with seated cable wire raise, which is a new workout, a new exercise that we've put into the split, which I'm actually really enjoying. So yeah, we'll see the setup for this, and yeah, let's have a look at it. So as you can see there, I was applying the three mechanics of hypertrophy. So you've got tension, damage, and stress. People will always apply one of them incorrectly, and that's why you won't see hypertrophy occur as much as you probably want to. Tension, obviously on a 3-second eccentric on this movement. I also removed the bottom 10 to 15% of that movement to keep tension on. Damage is obviously done through literally working towards failure, and then stress under the muscle applies from that as well. That is how you're going to grow. And a really useful tip for when you're pressing on a shoulder press or any type of like chest press movement, get yourself some gym pin blocks. Removes that bottom like 5%. It's much easier to have a lift off when you haven't got a spotter, and it just makes sure that you can get that extra 1 or 2 reps instead of trying to force that first rep up. So just a quick tip for you as well. So hypertrophy is simply the stimulus to the working muscles. So like I said, you've literally got tension, you've got stimulus, you've got damage, and you've got stress. Time under tension obviously matters when you've got your muscle in a lengthened position and a shortened position. That's why something like a 45-degree cable fly is also really, really good for that. Obviously I've got it set at 30 degrees now, but either work. You've then got tension, so that's the actual ability to create stimulus while under tension. So that's actually enough damage to be done. So actually picking a load that's going to create that tension. And then stress is obviously the damage to the working muscle under time. Stress is basically towards the end of a set, so the higher rep ranges, the shorter rest times, all about the isolation movements, which is where you're going to create a lot of metabolic stress. So all in all, for practical purposes, you need to be training hard, and you also need the right amount of volume and frequency for your lifestyle, and that's what we're going to touch upon next. But for now, I'm just going to get into the cable flies. So behind me we've got the Nitro vertical press. Now the good thing about this movement is it allows your chest to converge, which means that your hands, as they come out, they also come in, which means you can get your biceps and your elbows close together, which is going to really shorten your pec muscles, right? That's going to allow for a really good contraction in the shortened range, which is obviously going to improve the chances for hypertrophy. I think when you're looking for a press movement or any type of chest press, if it's a vertical press especially, you want to look for one that converges. They've also got a Jim Lecco one there that's plated that's really, really good because it allows your chest to really converge, get short, and you're going to get a better contraction off it as well. So let's give this a go, see what you think. Obviously we're quite heavy at the minute, we're going for 105. For a top set. We'll see how we get on. Looking for about 6. Really allow them shoulders to decompress, get back, keep your chest elevated, and see the position as well. Keep the elbows tucked in. So I think in order to get the most out of your weekly split, you've got to think about your lifestyle, you've got to think about how much you can train in terms of your frequency and your volume, and then you've also got to think about your goals. So for me, it's hypertrophy. So I want to be looking to hit especially my upper parts twice per week. So push-pull legs, push-pull works perfectly for me. It allows me to split my sets up as well. Instead of just running like a specific chest day or specific back day, it's going to allow me to get more frequency and more volume across the week, but not be as fatigued when I come to those later sets, which is why it's always worked better for me. I think I used to train like a bro split back when I was in my early 20s, and that's when I wasn't really seeing a lot of growth. But now it's perfect once I'm splitting up that volume how it is now, and that's when I've seen the most out of growing muscle. So just something to think about. You've got to think about your frequency, how much you can train, your volume, and your goals really, and then also your recovery as well. So that's push done for today, and I want to be talking about the 3 sort of overviews and factors that I'm going to be looking at in my training at the minute. At the minute I'm using predominantly top sets and back off sets, really working towards failure because I'm in an off season. And then I'm also looking at progressive overload as a massive factor in terms of my training. Obviously that should always be a very high sort of factor and something that you really need to consider in every part of your training, no matter what your goals are. And then I'm really looking at mind to muscle connection. I've got a few new movements that we're trying out, like the cable Y raise that you saw earlier on. So all about mind to muscle connection here, making sure that I've got the right setup, I've got the right stimulus going into the working muscles, and I'm actually trying to isolate them as well to get the best outcome. And I'm working a lot off top sets and back off sets at the minute, with top sets being in a rep range of about 6 to 9, back off sets being anywhere from like 9 to 15, predominantly around the 12 sort of region. But that doesn't mean that I'm just stopping at that top rep range. I'm always looking to work towards failure. But top sets and back off sets have a really good sort of benefit when it comes to building muscle, when actually getting stimulus in there. So top sets, they work your fast twitch muscle fibers, whereas back off sets, they work your slow twitch muscle fibers. So top sets are the ones that are going to create the biggest sort of mechanical tension, because you're going to be working at a heavier load, which is going to be a significant factor for actually getting growth to occur. Back off sets are the ones that are going to create more fatigue, more stress, and again, that's going to be a massive contribution towards growth as well. Now, progressive overload, again, is a very sort of simple way of training, and it's one that no matter what level you're at, you should be looking to build upon. It gets a lot tougher, I feel, when you've had more years of experience, especially if you've started to lift a heavier load as well. Whereas beginners to the gym, they can really start to develop on progressive overload, especially being new, because their baseline numbers are literally starting at different exercises. So they've got a lot more room for growth when it comes to progressive overload. But it doesn't mean just because you're advanced in your training and you've been training for years that you can't progress. It's still a massive factor that you need to be considering in your workouts. With compound movements, for me especially, I always look to progress using 1.25 to 2.5 increases per week, or just adding that extra rep. The reason being, because it's a heavier load, if you're adding 5 to 10 kg on each time, the form will be sacrificed, and that means that you're not going to get as much accuracy and a better outcome out of the movement as well. But then your smaller muscle groups, like your delts, your arms, your calves, they're the sort of muscles that you can actually be adding a little bit more load and a little bit more reps, because they can actually create more volume out of their movements as well, and they can actually recover a little bit quicker than, say, your chest, your shoulders, your back. But this is why tracking your lifts and actually monitoring through feedback is super key. And it's why actually having a coach and having an app and having a system in place and a roadmap ahead, that's the sort of procedure that you want to be going down in order to progress, because you can track your lifts, you can monitor how you're doing, and you can see what you need to improve on week by week. Now, mind to muscle connection is the one that separates the beginners to the more advanced people. When you're new to the gym, or when you don't really know how to perform an exercise, it's all about just flinging that weight around, not really thinking about your movement, thinking about it from A to B. It's just going in there and getting it done. Whereas when you're advanced into your training, you actually think about isolating that muscle. You think about how that feels when you're moving the weight from A to B, how it feels in the lengthened position, how it feels in the shortened position. You improve that mind to muscle connection, it's going to make a massive contribution in terms of hypertrophy. So the way that you can improve your mind to muscle connection is thinking about tempo, thinking about actually working the muscle and isolating it, just simply having that connection through your mind once you're doing a movement as well. And I'm actually a coach, and I'm actually a fan of someone that uses a tripod or actually records their sessions or records their lifts, because that's how you're going to improve. How are you going to know how well you're performing an exercise if you're new to the gym, or you haven't got a lot of training experience and no one's around you? How are you ever going to progress? Recording yourself and looking back over it, getting feedback from someone more experienced, is going to give you that area of improvement. And then you've got to think about how much volume that you're actually doing for hypertrophy to occur. So I believe anywhere between 10 sets to 20 sets is the sort of optimal range for each muscle group across the week. And that's why a push-pull legs, push-pull routine for me specifically works really, really well, because I'm able to actually get the volume for that for each muscle group across the week without fatigue setting in, and I'm actually be able to create the most amount of stimulus for those muscles in the sessions that I'm actually doing as well. If you're doing too much volume, that's when you'll see injuries occur. It's when you'll see fatigue occur. You're probably getting more of that within the first few weeks than say you would actually progressing and seeing your progression come to life. If your strength's going up, if you aren't too fatigued, and if you're recovering well and you're making progress, that's when you know your volume for your training is probably in a good spot. And then as you go further down the line, especially in an off season where I am now, you've got to think about using deload weeks or just simply reducing the volume, say every 12 to 16 weeks, or when you have, say, a plateau in terms of strength. And that's when you can evaluate your training and see if you need to pull back in certain areas, or just have a week of reducing the volume to say 50 to 75% and just getting more of an actual stimulus occurred than actually looking to progress during that week. And you're always going to have deloads at some point. You're always going to hit a ceiling. It's just like with scale weight. You're always going to have a moment where you plateau, where strength doesn't go up or your scale weight doesn't shift, and that's when you need to evaluate things. And again, it's why having a coach or someone in your corner can be so useful for that. Your central nervous system is going to accumulate fatigue. Your joints are going to accumulate fatigue as well. And that's when you need to be very aware from yourself when that occurs, and then actually be mindful of how you're going to progress, or whether you need to pull back. Deloads are going to allow you to actually reset, regain that energy, regain that composure, allow your central nervous system to come back into a stable position, so then you can progress again. It's not taking a step back. Deloads, plateaus, they occur, and it's how you handle them that can actually then allow you to progress onto that next stage. You can almost use this as a blueprint to take away for your own training to actually implement and see how you get on with it. But I hope it gives you an understanding of how to actually adapt your training around your lifestyle, around your working hours, around your sort of training history as well, and actually apply it to yourself. Now, I've been in the coaching industry for 5 years. I've been training for over 10 years. I've got tons of experience getting lads into phenomenal shape. We've done 2 team photo shoots. I've jumped on 3 photo shoots myself, and I've also jumped on stage. It's safe to say that I know what I'm doing, and it's safe to say I know how to get a result. If you want a training system that's applied to you and fits around your lifestyle, your training history, and is actually going to allow you to progress, check the links out below this post, and you'll have links to my website, you'll have links to my Instagram page, and you'll be able to see all the tons of results that we actually produce in the team. And if you want to drop a comment below on what you found most useful today and what you're actually going to take away with as well, that would be great. And I'll answer any questions that you have as well. So subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you on the next one.